Hello everybody, it's Spectacular, the Silver Stacular. This is a video that I've hesitated to put out for quite some time now. I've done quite a bit of research and I've come to a conclusion and I just can't wait any longer. I want you all to see what I've come up with. This is about the Omega Man Counterfeiter, right? This is an unsolved mystery in the coin world about a counterfeiter that made these gold coins and got away with it. Never was discovered. Now, I believe that I may have some insight onto who this counterfeiter was, or at least part of the equation on who it was. I think it was actually a bigger organization than many people think, but I'm going to go ahead and go into the video. Let me know what you think at the end. All right, so first, let me talk about the Omega Man Counterfeiter and what I'm talking about when I'm calling them Omega Man coins. So in the early 1970s, there was a noticeably large amount of valuable coins coming into coin grading services. Many of these coins were graded as authentic, but eventually were identified as counterfeit by an artist's signature on some of the coins. An Omega symbol was placed in some key points on the coins. One such fake, a 1907 high-relief gold double eagle coin, had a symbol appear in the eagle's talons on the reverse of the coin. The counterfeiter also used $3 gold coins where he placed a symbol in an R within Liberty on the headdress of Lady Liberty on the obverse of the coin. Now, these coins were done so well. They were actually made out of 90% gold, which is what these coins were typically made out of anyways. So they were right on the money when it come to the actual gold content and metal content within the coins. In fact, if it was not for the signature that was placed on these coins, some of these coins would have never been recognized. Now, this is in the 1970s when this all occurred. Now, these are all counterfeit dollars, and you can see that, out of these dollars, many of them have pretty terrible markings on them. It's easy to tell based on so many different factors that they're fake. How could somebody almost 50 years ago now counterfeit much better than modern counterfeiters today? So now it's my opinion that anyone who was able to counterfeit as well as the Omega counterfeiter did, first of all, they had to know coins. They had to know them very well, had to know all the intricate details. It wouldn't hurt too if that person was to maybe create coins. If they were a creator of coins, they could understand the fine details of the coins, what the coin was made up as. For instance, these were 90% gold. They had to have a really good knowledge of coins. So many of them were made, and now it's actually kind of unknown exactly how many were made because all they know about is the ones that came in to get graded. There could be more out there. It would take one person a long time in order to do this by themselves if they were only using some simple little mold in their garage or something. Now we're talking about gold, right? So the person had to have some money if it was just one person. Had to be a rich person for sure. Gold is not cheap, and it wasn't back then either. A wealthy individual or individuals would have had to work on this. Now, I want to bring it into perspective a little bit. Here are some St. Gaudens double eagle coins. Now, these are not the 1907 high relief, which is the one that was counterfeited, but I want to show you where this is being placed, the symbol, on the coin, so you can get an idea of how small it is. So here's the coin right here. Here is the obverse with Lady Liberty, and here is the reverse with the eagle, right? Now I'm going to show you where exactly this was actually placed in this coin. Now I've zoomed in quite a bit. In fact, this is as far as it can go for my camera. So I'm going to use a knife as a pointer, and right here, inside of that little eagle's talon, that little flat spot inside right there, that is actually where this symbol is going. So it's a tiny symbol. It's very, very small in comparison to the actual coin. It's going to take some real talent to go ahead and put that symbol in there. And again, if they never had put that symbol there, the coin itself would look almost perfect, except for the coloration was a little bit off. Many people don't have the gold double eagle to follow along and look at that spot themselves. So get yourself a red book, very cheap. Many of you probably already have them. If you're any kind of coin collector, I'm sure you have a red book. And actually, one thing a lot of people don't know is about the red book. The pictures of the coins are actual sized images. So this is actually the size of a $3 gold coin. And I'm going to show you right now where that spot on the $3 gold coin is. So now, first of all, $3 gold coins are much smaller than the St. Gaudens double eagle. Here's a double eagle. There's a $3 gold coin. So a much smaller coin. And then what you have to do is, let me try to zoom this in a lot, because it was actually on the headdress. A lot of coins with Liberty on there, Lady Liberty, it actually will have Liberty on the headdress, right? So this is no exception. It says Liberty right there. And right here in the R of Liberty. So in the little circular part of the R was actually where that symbol was placed. And man, that's small, right? So now what I have here is an image I found on the internet of the actual R and Liberty on that headdress. And you can see the symbol right here in that small part of the R. Tiny, tiny. And now what is thought to be is an Omega symbol. So this had to be done by a professional. Now real quick, I'm going to show you the double eagle and the spot on the double eagle. This is the 1907 right here in question. And now this is actually on a coin form. And I found this very interesting because this person was able to get this coin and was questioning people on whether they thought it was fake or not. So people asked for more photos. They needed more than just the obverse to find out. So the person in this forum started putting more pictures up. So now they put a picture of the reverse up of the coin. And you can look at the eagle's talon and you can see that compared to the one that I showed you of my own, that it's not just a flat spot. There's something going on inside of the talon right here. So now people on the forum, they started questioning the person. They started saying, can you show me the edge of the coin? Can you show me the rim? Can you show us a better picture of inside of that eagle's talon? And so here is a picture that the person used a magnifying glass right here to show you that spot inside of the talon. And you can tell it's not flat like it's supposed to be. There's something here. There is a symbol inside of here. And we can scroll down and see the next picture. And so again, you can see the actual talon right here, and you can see that there's something more than just a flat spot inside of here. This is the Omega Man symbol, and this is the sign of the counterfeiter. This is a fake coin. This would be a very expensive coin if it was legit. Tens of thousands of dollars for sure if it was a legit coin. But unfortunately, it's a fake. So now it is 90% gold because the counterfeiter was smart enough to use actual 90% gold in order to make these coins. So it does have that kind of value. And there is some kind of value being a famous counterfeit that's still, like I said before, it's an unsolved mystery. So now we know about the Omega Man Counterfeiter. Now I'm going to introduce you to the person that I think was involved. And this is where it's going to get kind of sketchy for me. I'm going to get a lot of grief for this, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it out. Now, I've kept this information to myself for a while. I did express to some people that I was trying to get more information from, that I believe I knew who it was, but I needed more research. And then the pandemic happened, and it really slowed me down. And then I was having second thoughts of ever actually putting this information out. But I don't want it to die with me if it is, in fact, this person. So now I'm bringing it out. So I'd like you to meet somebody that you may not be familiar with, even though you probably are. He goes by the name of Gilroy Roberts. So Gilroy Roberts was the 9th chief engraver at the U.S. Mint from 1948 to 1964. Now, who is the chief engraver? He is the highest staff member at the U.S. Mint, and he's in charge of the coin design and engraving. So Gilroy Roberts was known for his famous designs of the JFK half-dollar obverse, as well as sculptures and medals that he created. So many of you have a JFK half dollar, or either a silver one or a clad. I'm sure you have one. And you can actually see Gilroy Roberts' signature right there at the neck of Kennedy. So here it is. Now, it's kind of an unusual signature. It's a little funny looking for sure. It actually had some scrutiny in the past based on people thinking it was some kind of communist symbol, I think related to Russia. So it was not the first time this signature right here has been brought into light. Now let's talk more about Roberts, because he would have known exactly what metals that any coin would have been made with. It would have been simple for him to find that stuff out and how they were designed. And he may have even studied other counterfeits to see where those counterfeiters fell short. Now, less than 10 years after he left as the chief engraver for the U.S. Mint, these counterfeits begin to surface. It was also kind of an interesting fact that before Gilroy Roberts actually left as the chief engraver, before him, every single chief engraver died in office. Apparently it was a good job, and they didn't want to leave, and they were already older anyways, and they just died in that position. He was the first one to leave on his own. Now with the Omega symbol, it's not officially an Omega symbol based on any kind of scientific research. It's just what people have come together and said it was. One of the original finders of this marking, who was actually working with one of these grading companies, suggested that it was a skull and crossbones. He didn't know what it was. And it wasn't until he went to the mint director at the time of this discovery that the mint director thought that it was actually an Omega symbol. And so that design and that thought process stuck.
In the claw, and we'll see right here, it looked like a skull and crossbones to me, but the director, when he looked at it, said, "Look, this looks like an Omega sign."
So you can see from this that it's actually opinion that it's an Omega sign. There's no official, nobody came out, the counterfeiter didn't, go into the news real quick and say, haha, I'm the Omega Man. Nothing like that. It's based on a person's opinion when they saw this. Now, there is a very hard to find Discovery Channel documentary called The Secrets of the U.S. Mint, who actually has Skip Fazari, who is the person who discovered the Omega Man Counterfeiter symbol. Now, I've actually showcased him another time on my channel in a video. I've actually talked to him in person after this came out, saying that I thought that I knew who the actual counterfeiter was. And then, like I said, the pandemic happened and things started going a little crazy in my life, and it pushed it back for me. As far as any research that I can find about this, and according to Skip, the wormy tool marks are common on the $10, and the $10 gold were not counterfeited by the Omega Man, whereas the Double Eagle and the $3 gold coins were. And I found it interesting that the symbol was actually placed within the R of the Liberty on the $3 coin, showcasing that maybe R had something to do with the name of the person, or Roberts, Gilroy Roberts. Now, this is where I find the most interesting facts, is that Gilroy Roberts retired from the U.S. Mint in 1964, but he continued to utilize his talents as an artist and engraver for the Franklin Mint, which ended up becoming the largest private mint. Now, according to the research I can find, Gilroy Roberts worked at the Franklin Mint for over a decade. He was there for quite a while, and in the early 1970s, when these coins started to be found, he was still there. Now let's take a look at the Franklin Mint. First of all, you have a large mint, and ended up becoming the largest mint out there. Now you had a guy with a skill set too. You had the chief engraver at one point, right? He was actually very good at his job, made a beautiful obverse of the Kennedy half dollar. Is it so far-fetched to say that Mr. Roberts could have recreated these gold double eagles based on his skill and his knowledge of coins? Because he actually was a member of different coin groups, different associations that had to do with coins. He was a member of those groups. He knew coins very well. Now he also has the ability, based on the Franklin Mint, to be able to create coins. He had plenty of tools at his disposal being at the Franklin Mint in order to make these. But could one person do it alone? Because you have to figure this is gold. It's very expensive just by himself. Now, there is some thoughts, and I had to look at other forums to find this, where people suggested that maybe the mob was involved. And let's talk about the mob just for a second. This goes real deep into the conspiracy theories, doesn't it? But if you had, let's say a bunch of mobsters were to steal several gold bars, right? It would be one thing just to melt those gold bars down or to try to sell them. It might be difficult because they could trace it back to whoever sold them. But if they were to melt them down, create something else, maybe a gold coin with more value. Now these gold bars that were worth X amount of money are now worth XXXXX amount of money, being way more as a collectible coin. Now, what do you do when you make all this money? Let's say you were working for the mob. Even if you weren't, what do you do with all this money that you've gained from selling these collectible coins, these really rare coins? Well, maybe you make a charitable foundation. So this is one thing that Gilroy Roberts did before he died, is he made this charitable foundation. And it was actually in order to keep his tools that he used as an engraver and, to pass them along to different museums and to basically keep them in the museum or to keep maintenance on them so they didn't break, et cetera, et cetera. Now, how much money do you need for that? Let's scroll down and see. Their assets are at $9.3 million and their income amount is $2.251 million. So, and the latest return was June 2019, so just last year. Now, why do you need so much money just to maintain or hold your tools in a museum? And where is this money coming from? The best thing about a charitable donation is you can say, oh, I was given this amount of money from, some random person. They never gave us their name. They wanted to remain anonymous. Now, tell me that right there is not an excellent way to justify money that otherwise couldn't be justified. Now, I have another piece right here that came from the Franklin Mint. This is, let me put some more light on it. This is a sterling silver piece, and it says struck at the Franklin Mint. And this is the first step on the moon, eyewitness medal, it says. And again, it was signed by Gilroy Roberts. And you can see how the signature works. It's a little different than the other signatures for sure. And like I was saying before, that each one is just a little different. So there it is right there on his neck. And hopefully you can see it. And there it is again. So is that close to the Omega symbol? Do you think there's a possibility that the Omega symbol could actually be the signature of Gilroy Roberts? Because I don't believe whatsoever that it's actually an Omega symbol. I believe more that it's actually a signature. And when I started studying signatures, this is the best I had right here. Gilroy Roberts, all the times that when he was doing things matched up perfectly to how the Omega Counterfeiter was working and what it would take to make these gold coins as much as they were being made. It would take, like I said, a facility. It would take somebody who had a knowledge of coins. And Gilroy Roberts had access to all of that stuff. And I believed he signed his name on each one. And now you may ask, why would he sign his name? Why would he go ahead and put himself out there like that? Because if they didn't sign the name, it may have never been to where they could trace it. They would have never found the counterfeiter, right? Maybe because Gilroy Roberts actually cared about coins and had an affinity for coins, that maybe he wanted to be able to tell which ones were which. He thought his work was so good that he wouldn't be able to tell without the signature. Maybe he was doing it just for fun, and let's go back to the mob theory. Maybe the mob found out about his ability to do such good work. Maybe he had gotten in too deep. Maybe once you're in there that deep with the mob, there's no turning back. Now, it is unfortunate that Mr. Gilroy Roberts died before we could ask him more questions about things. So unfortunately, that's as far as that story can go. But I'm kind of upset with the whole outcome of the Omega Man Counterfeiter. I don't believe it's done. I believe there's more information out there. I highly suggest that you don't let this whole thing just die, that you go out there and research. There's plenty of information about Gilroy Roberts. There's plenty of information about the Omega Man counterfeiters. Look for yourself based on all the different images out there of the actual symbol, the Omega Man symbol, and research for yourself. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Give me a comment down below. Let me know if you think I'm onto something. Let me know if you think I'm crazy. Let me know your opinions, because, this is really just my opinion based on some research. Unfortunately, like I said, because he passed away and nobody's coming out to admit anything, there's no way of proving anything concretely right now. It's just my thoughts on the whole subject. If you liked the video, if you thought it was thought-provoking, please give me a thumbs up. This is something I didn't want to do because it really puts me out there. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to have you. But at this point, I gotta go. Hopefully I remain safe after this information, right? Hopefully I'm all good. Hopefully. I gotta have eyes on the back of my head now. Anyways, at this point, I gotta go. Let me know what you think. So curious. Spegtacular is out.